Hello, thank you for checking out A1 Math, and today we're looking at finding outliers from a data set. Let's begin. So we have a set of data, and what we want to do is determine the outlier. An outlier is any data entry that is far away beyond most of your data. Okay, so the question is, how do you determine if it's far enough away from the rest of your data to be considered an outlier? Well, there's a formula. And it's at the bottom here. It says how to identify an outlier. And it's saying you're going to have your Q1 minus 1.5 times your IQR if it's too low or if it's on the low side of your data set. And you're going to have Q3 plus 1.5 times IQR if it's on the high side of your data set. So anything that's lower than what we come up with for the first one is an outlier. And anything that's higher is also an outlier. So let's take a look at this example here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to take this data and put it in our graphing calculator because we got to find the quartile 1, quartile 3, and then find the IQR. So I type in the calculator and I tab down and I'll see my quartile 1, which is 69.5, my quartile 3, which is 108.5, and then I get my interquartile range by subtracting those two or find the difference between those two. So then I write them down. Q1, 69.5, Q3, 108.5, and the IQR, which is those two minus the difference between those two. So the IQR is 39. Now I have those. All I got to do now is apply this formula. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and apply this formula here. And the first formula here I'm going to do is the Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR. So I plug in Q1, which is 69.5, and the IQR, which is 39. All right, now I'll go ahead and just type that in the calculator. And I come up with 11. Okay, now I'm going to do it again, but this time I'm going to use my Q3 plus 1.5 times the IQR. Like so. So I'll plug in 108.5 for Q3, 1.5, and that 1.5 will always be in the formula. And I'm going to multiply times the IQR, which is 39. Okay. When I type that in, I end up with 167. So now I have my two set points to let me know if something's an outlier. So I have anything lower than 11 is going to be an outlier, and anything higher than 167 is an outlier. Now I go back to my data set, and I see that I have 10 and 169. So both of those are beyond my set, beyond 11 and 167. So those are going to be my outliers. So I just write that down, and I say 10 and 169 are my outliers. Let's take a look at another example. So again, the first thing I want to do is take my data and put it into my calculator. Okay. Once I put in my calculator and go on to stat, calculate, one var stats, tab all the way down, and I'll see my Q3 and my Q1. And that's all I need is my Q3 and Q1 in order to get this done for my calculator here. And after that, I'm done. And then I'll find the IQR by subtracting those two. So I have 44 for Q1, 57 for Q3, and my IQR is going to be 13. Okay, so now I'm gonna start again with the low side. Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR. And now I'm gonna plug in those values. Q1, which is 44, and IQR, which is 13. All right, now just type that in the calculator. And I get 24.5. So that's gonna be the low side. Now I'm gonna find the high side. And that's Q3 plus 1.5 times IQR. So I plug in Q3, which is 57, and the same IQR, which is 13. All right. Once I type that in the calculator, I hit enter, and I get 76.5. All right, now I have 76.5, and I have my high end. So now all I have to do is check my data and figure out what's lower than 24.5 and what's higher than 76.5. Okay, lower than 24.5 is 20, and higher is the 86 and 80. So in this case, I happen to have three outliers. So that's going to be 20, 86, and 80 are my outliers. And that's it. You basically want to make sure you know your formula. Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR and Q3 plus 1.5 times IQR. You're just going to type your data in your calculator, uh, find your Q1 and Q3, and then use that to get the IQR and plug it into these formulas. That'll get you your lower end and high end. You just got to see what's within those two. So again, that is finding outliers within a data set. I want to thank you for checking out A1 Math. Have a nice day.